Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Before we get into today's video, I'd first like to thank you guys for your support on last week's video. I was not expecting the channel to bounce back with views like that after such a long hiatus away from the channel, but wow, truly thank you guys. It was my birthday this past weekend, so thank you guys so much for that wonderful gift. And in return, I wanted to do something special for you guys. So let me fix something really quick. What's going on, guys, and welcome to the new look Cloak page. I wanted to replace all of the animation stuff I was doing with my webcam to make it more of a viewer YouTuber experience, if that makes any sense. I didn't want to just be a guy who read you Reddit stories and that was it. That was our only connection. I wanted you guys to know a little bit more about me and a little bit more of my personality to show in these videos, so it's not just robotic and AI-like. Anyways, I wanted to skip all the questions aside from that on the whole face reveal thing. I will be doing a live stream a day or so after this video comes out over on my Twitch page, over on my TikTok, and here on the YouTube channel. So whichever way you prefer to watch people live stream, I should be over there. If you have any suggestions for any other platforms I should get on, leave them in the comment section below. However, to the vast majority of you who are here not for a face reveal, today we are going to be covering some horrifying vehicle encounters on the space Reddit. The subreddit I am reading from is called No Sleep, and it is where I get most of the scary stories that I read on this channel. So if you want to head over there and read a couple for yourself, I will leave the link in the description down below. Without any further ado though, let's get into the first story. If you see a car broken down on Route 33, don't stop. There's a stretch of Route 33 that goes over Shenandoah Mountain. It's one of the most beautiful roads in the country. Some parts cling to the side of the mountain with a gorgeous view of the valley below. Others snake through deep lush forest, scattered with deer and all kinds of wildlife. But if you ever see a car broken down on the side of it, don't you dare stop. Connor and I first saw it on the way to his parents' house one evening. A silver Accord, parked askew in the grass. The flashes were on, blinking in the blue dusk, and stuck in the back window was a piece of paper, scrawled with the words, "Help," broke down. But Connor didn't slow down. "Police patrol the area all the time," he said, swerving around it. "They'll be just fine." I scoffed. "Oh no, I know what this is about. Getting to your parents on time is more important than helping someone who's stranded on the side of the road. That's it, isn't it?" "No," as I said, if they actually need help, they'll flag down an officer." "Why are you being so terrible? They broke down. They need our help." "If they really broke down, V," he said, yanking the steering wheel, "why did they just pull out behind us?" I turned to the mirror. No, two white lights swinging onto the road. Thud. I was thrown back in my seat as Connor put the pedal to the floor. We flew through the darkness, branches scraped at the car, and the wind howled. "I knew we should have waited till morning," he muttered under his breath. "Connor, what?" "Bad people hang around here at night." His voice was barely audible over the roar of the car. "Dad's always talking about him, but I never believed him. I thought they were all tailed, to scare me into not taking this road. It is a dangerous road after all." "Bad people, what do you mean?" The headlights disappeared behind a bend. "Like cults or serial killers, or maybe both," he said. "Just know all the victims are found the same way, in the middle of the woods, completely naked." I shuddered and my mind began to race. What if they catch up with us? What if they get us? But then I saw it. A narrow road splitting off from the right way of the highway, climbing up into the forest. I glanced in the mirror. The headlights hadn't reappeared yet. "Turn there," I said, "and then cut the lights. They'll pass us right up." Connor hesitated. "I don't even know where that goes," he said. "Didn't even think there was an exit for another 20 miles at least." "Just turn." He jerked the steering wheel, the seatbelt cut into my chest, as we veered off, braked into a stop, and then waited for the Accord to pass. 2, 5, then 10 minutes. But they never came. "Did we lose them?" "Must have," he said. "Let's go." The car rumbled to life. He turned sharply towards the trees, then backed up. A shadow caught in the headlights. Silver metal and glass. The Accord. Lights off, still, and silent, parked right behind us. I screamed. Connor cursed under his breath. We swerved back onto the road, heading deeper into the forest. If this is a dead end, then thunk. We went flying. Dirt and trees and skies all whirled together. I shut my eyes, screaming, clinging to the door. We hit the tree with a loud crunch. Veronica! I'm fine, I groaned. Just hit my head. But crunch. I whipped around. Crunch. The cord was ramming into us. Over and over. Get out! Connor yelled. I swung the door open and tumbled out of the car. We stumbled through the forest, back in the direction of 33. Branches clawed at my arms, rocks bit into my feet. Tears were running down my face, and it took everything in me to silence my sobs. I can't do this, I heaved. I can't. Slam. I whipped around. Someone was stepping out of the Accord, a tall, pale figure with wild hair, illuminated in the flickering light of our dying headlight. Where is it? Connor huffed. Where's 33? We didn't drive that far away. Where the hell is it? But he was right. There were only branches, dirt, darkness. Route 33 was gone. It was as if the forest had swallowed us up and severed us completely from the outside world. Behind us, the figure advanced, the sharp crunch of the footsteps echoing off the trees. I'm so sorry, Connor said, his voice faltering. But then I saw it. A light, smeared and blurry through my tears, shining through the trees like a beacon of hope. We stumbled towards it, and the trees got sparser. The underbrush grew thicker. Patches of blue sky peeked through the branches. Oh, thank God, I gasped. It was a flashlight, and beyond it, the uniform of a police officer. Unfortunately, by the time we led the officer back to our car, the silver Accord was gone. But fortunately, Route 33 didn't actually disappear. We must have gotten disoriented in the darkness. She told us it is very common for people to get lost in these woods, even during the daytime. After filing various paperwork, she safely drove us to my in-laws' house. The four of us had a great dinner, too much dessert, and lots of laughs. Want to take a walk? I asked Connor after things had settled down. I think I need to walk off all of that ice cream. Sure, he said, taking my hand. We took a short walk around the block. It was fully dark now, and the stars twinkled high above. A cool breeze came in from the west, fluttering through my hair. And in the moonlight, something glinted across the street. Connor, look! I grabbed his arm. No. Parked on the street was a dented silver Accord. They followed us home. There was a rule in my hometown that you should never acknowledge an unwanted passenger in your car. I come from a quaint little town in Ireland that most tourists would regard as picturesque. We get our fair share of tourists throughout the year, as they love to wander the walking trails that crisscross the outskirts. From the outside, our town would be regarded as perfect, but we hide a dark secret that only the inhabitants know about. I learned about the secret during my first driving lesson with my mother. I was beyond stressed that morning, as my mother is a perfectionist and I didn't want to disappoint her. We started off slowly as she taught me to drive down the narrow roadways. My hands had a vice-like grip on the steering wheel, as I was paranoid that I was going to make a mistake. I kept glancing at my mother out of the corner of my eye to judge her reaction to my driving. We were driving almost half an hour when I looked into the rearview mirror and spotted the smiling man sitting in the back seat. I was so shocked that I almost spun the steering wheel and crashed into the ditch. My mother screamed at me to keep driving, and whatever I do not turn around. My eyes were fixated on the mirror as I stared at the man who had suddenly appeared in our back seat. His face was somehow clouded in a shadow, even though it was a beautiful sunny day outside. The only features of his face that I could make out were his eyes, which were a sickly green. His mouth was twisted into a gnarling smile that made me want to jump out of the car. I watched in horror as he started reaching forward with his long, spindly arms towards me. I was paying so much attention to him that I had taken my feet off the gas pedal and we were slowing down. My mother slapped me across the face and yelled at me to drive faster. I sped up and watched in relief as his arms slowly withdrew back toward his body. He leaned his head forward and opened his mouth, and a plethora of voices began pleading for help. I instinctively covered my ears with my hands, which forced my mother to grab the steering wheel. It took me a few seconds to regain my composure, and as I grabbed the steering wheel, my entire body was on edge, as the cries coming from his mouth reached a deafening crescendo. In the blink of an eye, the smiling man vanished, leaving me and my mother alone in the car. I pulled the car off to the side of the road and proceeded to vomit out my breakfast. The local police officer drove by and stopped to see what was wrong. He gave me a nod of approval as my mother explained that we had an extra guest in our back seat. We drove home in silence, and I tried to venture the subject with her on a number of occasions, but she refused to talk about it. I learned from a few other people that he has been appearing in cars for almost 70 years. No one knows anything about him, but they all warned me to never turn to face him. I moved away to a college a few months afterwards, and over time forgot about the smiling man. I started dating a guy named Mike that I met in my history class. We were both a bit shy, so no one knew that we were actually a couple. It started getting serious with Mike, so I decided to bring him home to meet my mother. I was a bit nervous about how she would react to him. We were just driving into the town when I spotted the smiling man, once again sitting in my back seat. The blood drained from my face as we locked eyes in the mirror. Mike suddenly jumped in his seat, as he must have noticed the smiling man as well. I shouted at him not to turn around, but it was already too late. The smiling man's grin widened as Mike turned in his chair to look at him. There was a blinding flash that caused me to jam on the brakes. I was suddenly drenched in blood and body parts as Mike's body exploded. I climbed out of the car and on the road weeping as Mike's body flowed out of the car and pooled onto the ground. I was discovered by the same officer who tried his best to comfort me. It took me almost 2 weeks to get myself cleaned up, as I kept finding pieces of Mike in my hair. I went back to college almost 3 months later, and felt my heart drop as I spotted posters hanging everywhere, with Mike's face plastered all over them. A woman saw me looking at them and asked me for help locating her missing son. I excused myself and practically ran away. I didn't have the heart to tell her that her son is buried in a small field in the middle of nowhere. I am now living with an abusive husband who beats me on a daily basis. I have managed to convince him to travel to my hometown with me, and I hope that I will get an opportunity to introduce him to the smiling man during our next visit. And that's going to be it for this one. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know down in the comment section below. And if you didn't already know, this channel's goal is to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And I think it's possible. And if you wouldn't also mind going over to the second channel and showing that some love as well, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support over the past couple of months. I will continue making videos as long as you guys continue to watch them. Thank you, and I will see you guys in the next one.